Hello, welcome back to my channel Qubit Educational Services. We are discussing the NEST 2020 Session 2 Mathematics section, and in this video we are going to solve the second last question, that is question 14th. First, let us read the problem. Let f be a function defined by box x plus root of x minus box x. Here box x is the greatest integer function for x and root of y is the positive square root of y for positive real numbers. Then f is differentiable everywhere, f is continuous everywhere, f is bijective, and f is discontinuous only at integer points. Now you observe that options 1, 2 and 4 are calculus based, differentiability and continuity. So let us first get rid of them first and then we can check for option 3. Okay, now first let us try to find whether f is discontinuous at integer points, and for that assume that we have an integer a. Let us first calculate the left hand limit. Okay, now what is the function? It is box x plus root of x minus box x. Yes, now if we are having any number, okay, which is less than a but very close to a, which is an integer, then clearly box x will be a minus 1. Yes, see, for instance, no matter how close you go to 2, these numbers will always get mapped to 1. Okay, because it is greatest integer less than or equal to these. Okay, so for a, when we are finding the left hand limit, this will be equal to a minus 1 plus. Now let us go to x minus box x, and now there will always going to be this gap. Okay, because a is already an integer, so this is a. And what is box x now? That is a minus 1. We have already found it out for this box x. So if we do this, then we are going to get 1, and because the square root is the positive square root, we just need to add 1 to this. Okay, alright, because this is 1. And minus 1 and plus 1 will go, so the left hand limit will be equal to a. Now let us try to find the right hand limit. To find the right hand limit, there is no need to worry about box x now, because x is now going to be greater than a. Okay, but less than a plus 1, of course. So the greatest integer function's value for all these values of x will be equal to a. Yes. Now let us go to x minus box x. Observe that the numbers x are approaching a, correct? So if we try to find x minus box x, it will start approaching 0. Of course, for example, consider the number a here, or the integer a here. If you are approaching a from right, okay, then x is already approaching a and box x is already equal to a. So this is as good as finding the right hand limit of x minus a, which is clearly equal to 0. So we are just talking about the expression inside the radical sign or inside the root. So that is 0, so square root of 0 is 0. So RHL also happens to be equal to a. Now there is only one last thing that we need to do. We need to find f of a. Okay. What is f of a? F of a will be box of a, which is a, plus root of a minus box a, which is 0. So f of a also happens to be a. Yes, and this is enough to establish the continuity at integers. RHL is equal to a, the value of the function is equal to a, and the left hand limit is also equal to a. So the fourth option is not correct. F is discontinuous only at integer points. In fact, it is continuous, so fourth one is not right. Okay, now let us go to 2, which says f is continuous everywhere, and this should be the case because now at any non-integral point we know that box x is continuous. Yes, and x minus box x will also be continuous, right? Because that is the fractional part function, which is discontinuous only at integers. So if x minus box x is continuous at any non-integral point, so will be its root. Yes, and by using the algebra of continuous functions, that is, if f and g are two continuous functions at a point, then f plus g, f minus g, both of them will be continuous, which means at any non-integral point, our function is continuous. So, at any x, be it an integer or a non-integer, we have already proved that the function is continuous. So it is continuous everywhere. So that is option 2, which is the correct option. Let us now go to option 1. F is differentiable everywhere, and this is not the case. We will see how. It is enough to prove that it is not differentiable at a single point, because the option says it is differentiable everywhere. Okay, we will consider the values of x which are between 0 and 1, because for all of them box x is equal to 0, so we can treat this function as root of x. Okay, now if we are finding the LHD at 1, what will it be? We need to use this definition, root x. So f dash of x is going to be 1 upon 2 root x, and if we let x to be 1, it is going to be 1 upon 2. So this is the left hand derivative. Now if x is between 1 and 2, what is f of x? Now observe this carefully. If x lies between 1 and 2, then clearly box x will be equal to 1. Yes, so this box x and this box x, these two terms will get replaced by 1. So f of x now becomes 1 plus root of x minus 1. So if we now try to find its derivative, what will it be? Derivative of 1 0 and derivative of root of x minus 1 is 1 upon 2 root of x minus 1, which at x equal to 1 will be infinity. Which means at 1, LHD is not equal to RHD, so it is not differentiable everywhere. I mean, you can argue that it is differentiable at non-integral points, but as far as the option is concerned, we have proved that it is not right. Now comes the last part, that is to check whether f is bijective. Okay, and we will see that f is bijective because of this part. Okay, the fractional part, because, well, not the fractional part, the root part, root of the fractional part, because we know that box x is not 1 1 as well as it is not onto. Okay, so for that we need to visualize the graph of this function, and this is how it is going to look like. Okay, we have already said that f of x is equal to root of x when x lies between 0 and 1. Okay, that means this part. So this is the part y equal to root x, and if you continue to stretch it, it will be part of the parabola y squared equal to x, isn't it? Now observe this. If we were to overlap the graph of the greatest integer function less than or equal to given function, that is box x, it would look like this. Okay, 1 will be excluded and then the graph will jump here, 2 will be excluded, then the graph will jump here, and so on. Okay, now what is happening is at every integral point the graph is taking a jump. Which graph? The blue graph. Okay, but observe that for our function we are adding this particular portion of the graph, isn't it? Because root of x minus box x is going to represent the square root function of the fractional part, isn't it? And that fractional part's graph is this one. So to every horizontal segment we need to add this particular portion. So this becomes a shifted parabola, and the equation of this is already known to us. What is it? It is 1 plus root of x minus 1. Okay, and if you were to talk about this portion between 2 and 3, then what would its equation be? The equation would be 2 plus root of x minus 2. Okay, so basically we are only going to consider the fractional part, and that is why we are subtracting the integral part. Alright, so what does this tell you? This is telling you that the function is bijective. It is 1 1. Clearly it is 1 1, and it is also onto, because if you project the entire graph on the y-axis, the whole y-axis is going to get covered, so it is bijective. Okay, although the original two functions that is the box x function or the greatest integer function, and the fractional part function are not bijective functions. Okay, so here is an example where although the individual two functions are not bijective, their composition, you can say now, is bijective. Okay, so coming back to the question, is option 3 right? It is right. So options 1 and 4 were not right. We proved that the function is not differentiable at x equal to 1, so option 1 was ruled out. We proved that it is continuous everywhere, so validity of 2 immediately led to the fact that 4th is not right, and now we have proved that it is bijective, and you can also define its inverse now, right? You can take it as homework. Because it is both 1 1 and 1 2, the inverse exists, so you can define the inverse of this function for yourself, and you can comment your answer you can comment your answer below the video. All right, so this completes question 14. Now there is only one question remaining, which we will cover in the next video. All the best for your preparations as well as your examination. See you in the next video. Bye.